unless I'm going to try to. Let's see if this works. Yep, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is, because now it's starting.
Got it.
You got it too?
Yep.
Okay, so that's what it is. Are we on? And now nobody's here because they're all looking at the other event. I feel bad about that. Well, we'll wait for everyone to get in and then we'll apologize. But yeah, we're up there now. That's what it is. So when you create an event and then you try to use the stream key for that particular event, and you put it in OBS, that's what I did. It doesn't seem to work.
That's what
you gotta go. You have to go. Hey Tony, how you doing, buddy? We'll wait for people to kind of show up. Sorry for the delay and for the kind of the confusion. We had a YouTube issue, so we had to reboot the live stream. So we're going to a different link. Hopefully you guys can hear us and see us okay. Let me know, Tony, if you can hear us okay. Are we loud enough? Johnny Lipsham is with me as usual.
Yep. Wouldn't be any other place.
So we'll have to see how many people kind of pop in. There's 5, 6 people here now. Again, sorry, we had a YouTube OBS issue, but we've kind of worked it out. So welcome once again to our live stream. So now this stream is going to be a little different. Well, yeah, I guess kind of, right, Johnny, a little different. And in the fact that we've kind of went from maybe doing a live stream every week because, frankly, I just don't have time in my schedule to continue to do that. We're trying to kind of combine everything down to one live stream to kind of make it a little more interesting for you guys and to kind of, not expect you guys to come out and watch every Saturday night. So what we've decided to do is to do kind of a, every live stream we'll do like a quick plug-in thing, kind of like a plug-in demo quickly. Then maybe we'll do like a mixing tip or a concept or a theory or something, I'll come up with, and Johnny. And then we'll do a question and answer session as well at the end. And we'll try to keep this thing to about 90 minutes. We'll go 2 hours if the questions are cool and people are having fun. That would be great. Just let us know in the chat if you can hear us okay. And if everything is loud enough. Let's see who's hanging out here. Andy Arthur's here. Andy, hello, my friend. Raymar's here. Woodbeast is here. Fernando is here. Johnny Lipsham is here. Hey, Johnny, how are you? And Tony is here so far. And there were a few more people at the others link that I'm sure will be popping in. So that's what we're going to kind of do. So before we get started, Johnny, anything new on your end? Anything we want to say to the good people?
Well, hello, folks. Hope everybody is having a fantastic Saturday. It's coming up on midnight here in Edinburgh, Scotland, in the glorious United Kingdom. And it's been a nice warm day today, Dave. It's been T-shirt weather, and it's just like the end of September, and it's T-shirt weather. It's ridiculous.
It was getting a little cooler here today, but you're right. It's been, last week it was 92 degrees Fahrenheit here in the middle or last week of September. So yeah, it's been warm. It's but now it's starting to cool down. The leaves are coming off the trees. So I think fall is officially here. So
I'm always amused by why you guys call it fall.
I don't know.
I think it's because literally the leaves fall. So you just think fall. It's there
you go.
And we call it autumn from the Latin autumnus.
Ah, okay. Very cool. So if anyone has any questions in the chat, you guys can ask now. We'll wait a couple of minutes until everyone kind of filters over, and then we'll jump into our little demonstration here. Before we get started, though, let's let everybody know once again. Oh, by the way, Johnny doesn't even know this. I don't know. Over at learningtomix.com, we've done something really cool. So a couple of things that are coming up that if you're not a member, you may want to check it out. Number one, it's 30 days money back guarantee. But number two is that because we've had such an overwhelming response to it over the last 3 months, which is fantastic. I can't thank everybody enough. And I know I can speak for Pete when I say we really do appreciate you guys coming and checking it out. And so far, it's been a load of fun. But because we've had so many members join, we were able to lower the monthly membership price. So what had started was if you signed up as a pre-sale member, where you got $10 off the $30 price, you joined for $19 for the first 3 months, and then at the end of October, in November, you were going to go to $30 a month. Well, that's no longer the case. Your rate is going to stay at $19 a month from now until the end of time. So there is no price increase. We've actually taken $10 off the monthly membership because we've had enough people join that we can do that. So that's one thing. So the price is not going up for anybody. So if you were fearful that you were going to have to spend more money in another month, no, you will not. And the same thing if you're a yearly member subscriber. If you paid for the year during the pre-sale, you will get charged the same amount next year. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is that we got some new companies we're going to be working with, and we got some really cool prizes for the mixing contest. One of them is some editors' keyboards. You know, the keyboards. The PreSonus keyboards. I got a whole bunch. I don't know if you can see that too well. My cord's in the way. But I got a whole bunch of these to give away at learningtomix.com. I think I got 4 or 6 of them. And we got a couple of new plugins that we're going to be giving away. So that's really cool. And in the month of November, for all you Studio One users, because I know everyone in the chat's a Studio One user, or most of you are, the mixes we're going to be doing are going to be only with Studio One plugins. Stock plugin mix only for the month of November. And we're going to be using the Fat channel. We're going to be using the new Console Shaper Pro. We're going to be using the, what do they call it? Their new channel strips that they came out with, all those add-on packs.
Yes.
We're going to be using only those plugins for the month of November. So if you're a Studio One user, and up to this point, we've been using kind of a lot of third-party plugins, Slate and Waves and Universal Audio. In November, we're going to be using just stock plugins. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So stay tuned for that. And if you are a member, as you know, tomorrow, October 1st, the new content comes out. So you can download your new content for the month of October. Really cool song. You're really going to like it. And yeah, so there's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. So yeah, so if you're not a member of learningtomix.com, go check it out. It's worth your while if you are. That's all the good stuff that's coming up, and we'll be informing you guys about more stuff as things go on. So we have 15 people now here. We got Robert Booth. Robert, how are you? Let's see. People are talking. Missy's here. Hey, Missy, how you doing? Rainier is here. How are you? Jeff is here. Jeff, how you doing? And I think I got everybody. You guys are all chatting it up, and that's really cool. Thanks again so much for joining the monthly live stream. And so Johnny is going to do a plugin demo for us, because Johnny just went ahead and got himself the Slate Digital Everything bundle.
Yes, indeedy.
So now you got enough plugins to play with for the next 6 months.
Yes,
right?
and then I'll be wanting something else, probably Universal Audio, but I don't have the money for that.
Not yet. Not yet. You will.
Not unless like an absurd number of people purchase things of mine. Yes, so I just went and got the Slate bundle, and I think probably a good number of you on the chat also have the Slate bundle. And if you don't,
you ought to.
You should.
For the monthly price, right, Johnny? I mean, my lord.
Monthly price is just stupid. I mean, $15 a month for some of the best analog modeled plugins that have ever been made by anybody.
And for a limited time, I know right now, because you got it at this price, they actually knocked off a few bucks, right? So for a certain period of time, it works out to be about $12 US a month.
Yes, exactly.
Which is great. I mean, which is fantastic, right? And so, yeah, I think it's awesome. So Robert says he just got the level. Oh, that's Robert Booth, learning to mix. I thought you meant Slate Digital. I'm mix. Hey, Robert, thanks, man. I'm on the Slate Digital train now. Thanks, that's awesome. And Andy says he just got a Series 3 mixer coming, the 16 channel. Very nice.
Fantastic, Andy.
By the way, before I forget, Johnny, not to cut you off, I did my firmware update for the Series 3 mixer, and the little magic DAW button is now lit green.
Ooh.
When I press it, it doesn't do anything. But it's lit green, which means that surface control must be coming, right? So if you have a Series 3 mixer, go and do your latest firmware update. Make sure you're getting everything updated, because when it comes, it's going to come quick, and you want to be ready to rock and roll. So,
and can I recommend, if you do have a Series 3 mixer and you are about to do that firmware update, make sure you switch out all the lights first, so that little green LED lights up your entire room.
Yes. So there you go. So yeah, you're talking about the Slate Everything bundle, right? So you have the Slate Everything bundle, and you're getting into it now. You're going to show the folks what you've learned thus far. I know you've only had it a day, so
I have only a day, so I can't really show you too much.
That's okay. Because, share your screen. I'll show one too. I'll show one as well,
all right.
just to help you out. But go ahead, you show the folks what you've learned so far. Share your screen, and I'll switch the cameras here.
Alrighty.
Okay, there you are, and there I am. Okay, so everybody should be seeing Studio One, Johnny's Studio One.
Yes, my Studio One.
Wonderful. Yep, it's up there. Everyone should be good.
Good. Everyone can see it. Fantastic. Now, I have always been a little bit partial to 1176 compressors. Way back in the day when I was working in an all analog studio, there were 1176s. Well, there was one 1176, and there was one LA2A, and I think there was another one that I can't remember the name of. But anyway, and I first heard an 1176 on a drum bus through an SSL console, and it just I just fell in love with that sound, and I've been hunting that sound forever since. And then Persona, I'm giving you a little bit of backstory here. Hope you don't mind.
Nope. Go ahead.
And then Personas did their update to the Fat Channel for the 3.5 release, and that came with an 1176, which sounds pretty good. If you've never heard an 1176 before, I would say go check out the Fat Channel XT. It's a good place to start. Waves also, I believe, make the blue and the black, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not lying to everybody. That's good news. But yeah, so there are several in the Slate bundle, neatly tucked into this little guy, which you guys who have all got the Slate bundle are probably laughing at me right now, because for me this is all new, but to you guys you're probably like, yeah, seen this loads of times. I use it every single day. So you guys that know all about the Slate bundle are just gonna have to bear with me here, and you can maybe go make a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or whatever. But for me this is all kind of new, and it just sounds wonderful. So I'm using this in a 20-to-1 ratio for a little bit of parallel compression, because that's how I've been using the one in the Fat Channel for drums, and it just sounds lovely. So I thought I would try and see if I could match the two and see which I like the sound of the most, or kind of what the sonic differences are between the two. So that's what I thought I would do in this little demo.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, let's do that.
So I have this little mock-up here, which is a bit of I've basically force-fed a symphonic orchestra some 70s disco funk, and this is what they end up playing. So check out the drums on this with the Fat Channel, and then we'll listen to the virtual mix rack drums. Is that too loud, by the way?
I don't know until the drums kick in. Let us know in the chat if it's too loud. I'll keep my hand on the dial here, and if it is, I'll just lower it a little bit.
Okay, you've got 4 bars until the drums come in.
Got it.
Here we go.
Well, that's 70s disco for you. No, it's good. That's cool. It's a little, how's the audio? Everyone's saying audio's good. Tony says a little low. Jeff says it's, Robert says okay here. Rainier says for me it's fine. Okay, I can get, well, when he kicks on this compressor, it's going to get a little bit louder. So I'd rather be a little bit on the conservative side, and you guys just crank up your monitors a little bit, okay?
That's a good idea. So that was running through the Fat Channel XT 1176, which I should have opened, actually. That would have been what the smart person would have done. So this is how I've got it set up, and basically I just dialed until I loved the sound. Basically, I knew I wanted to squash it heavy, and then I just got the attack and release, and until it kind of pumped with the kick drum and pumped with the music, and I really liked the sound of it, and it made the drums really pop forward, my opinion. and particularly that kick drum just really kind of wants to thump you in the belly. And I really quite like that from the Fat Channel. So this is how I had it set up when I originally did this piece of music. Flash forward to this morning, and I decided I was going to put the other guy on over here, and this is what that sounds like if I just back up to 2 bars before the kick drum comes in.
Sure.
Or the bar before.
So can we solo up the drums so we could just hear the drums?
Certainly can. Let me just that guy up there and solo that. Oh, I probably need to solo that guy as well. And we'll just kick off where the kick drum comes in.
Sure.
Okay. So this is going through the Slate right now. And for me, I just love what it does to that kick drum, because you don't just get the weight of the beater, you get like the fullness of the tone of the drum.
Right.
Which is just lovely. And then you get a little bit of sizzle on the snare drum and the hi-hats, which I really liked from the Slate. So let's go check out the Fat Channel. I'm going to A/B between the two a little bit. Now I've tried to level match these as best I can. So this is the Fat Channel. That's the Slate. Going back to the Fat Channel.
Very similar. I mean, they should be. They're both 1176 models.
Yeah. Yes.
Now the one thing you'll notice too on the Slate one, Johnny, is that you see how you have a bus channel and a P drums. Now if you just use the Slate one, you have that mix knob down in the bottom right hand corner. So in essence, what you can do is you can just have one track, use that one plugin, and then you can just dial in the mix of how much parallel compression you want. So you can kind of save yourself some tracks.
That's also an excellent idea.
Which you don't get with the PreSonus or any other 1176 for that matter. That's pretty unique to the Slate Digital stuff.
Yeah, I mean, my recollection was that it never had a mix knob. The original hardware.
No, it does not.
No, that was how I remembered it. So yeah, and to be honest, I hadn't really noticed that too much. But yeah, for me personally, I think the FG 116, as they call it, as the Slate is called, it just somehow sounds fatter and kind of more fulsome. And this guy over here just sounds a little bit flatter somehow.
Yep. Now, can you just play back and just mute the P drums track? Keep one of them on and just mute the P drums track on and off so they can hear it with parallel compression and without parallel compression?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's turn it off to start with.
Okay.
And here comes the full groove. And I'll kick it on. And back off. And back on.
Now, if you turn the attack down all the way counterclockwise to its 8 millisecond setting.
Yep.
Now try it and see what you get. You get a little more slap that way.
Yes, you do. Yes.
But yeah, it sounds really good. And comparatively between the two, I tend to like the Slate a little bit better on this particular one.
Yes, I would agree. I think it just sounds fatter. It sounds fuller. Sounds more forward. Yeah, I would say prefer the Slate over the Fat Channel
Now,
version.
something interesting. Robert's saying you should put the Monster on it. Now, the Monster plugin in that in that VMR, Johnny, is was really a plugin that was kind of emulated to do what you're doing with the 1176, which is that 20-to-1 all buttons mode, as they call it, squish the living daylights out of it type thing, and that's all done in the Monster. The Monster, right there, you got it right there. If you do the Monster, and there's a preset in there, you go to the presets. There's something called drum squishy drum smasher.
That's the one there.
Yeah. Now compare that to the black 1176. Now you might want to check and then see the mix is only at 50%.
So it is. Yeah.
You could turn that up to 100% and see what the differences are.
All right. Let's
shut off the PreSonus. Yep.
Yep. And that one's already on.
Yep.
Have I actually got this on? No. There we go. Oh, jeepers.
And turn off the high pass filter there. Turn it down to off. There you go.
Oh, that's lovely. That's awesome. Let's compare that to the Fat Channel. Does the same job. It is pretty punchy.
Yeah, well, the Monster is, see, they call it an extreme dynamic processor. I guess they were kind of going for the 1176 all buttons mode, and there's probably some other things they were trying to do there. But that was kind of the starting point. So it's going to sound similar, but it gets a little bit more aggressive sounding, which is pretty cool, depending on what you're going for, you know?
Yeah. No, I liked it on. I actually like that very much. I hadn't thought of that. I mean, I'd read some of the bump that comes with the Slate Digital on all of the plugins because I thought I want to actually have a look at what they're all about, and and I kind of read a little bit about the Monster, but hadn't had the chance to actually give it a spin. So that's nice. I really like that.
Yeah, that's really cool for drums.
Yeah. I wonder how. I mean, I know it's probably designed mostly for kind of extreme processing. Obviously, it's called extreme dynamic processor. But I wonder how it would sound in parallel on a bass guitar.
Who knows? Why don't we check it out? Seeing as we're here.
Seeing as we're here, and I hadn't planned any of this.
That's okay. Some people are asking about the FG stress, but don't worry, guys. I'll do the FG stress. I was going to do that when Johnny's done. I'll put it on drums. I'll put it on bass. I'll put it on a vocal so we can kind of hear the difference. So don't have no fear. I've only played with the FG stress a couple of times. That's a pretty cool plugin too. And again, that is an 1176 style. It's not much different sounding, but it's a little bit more aggressive as well. So all these compressors just have different little flavors to them, right? They're all kind of geared around that FET styled compressor, but they all sound slightly different, right? So we're going back to the compressors now. It's, you know, you're in what you're doing here is you're using them as parallel compression, but they all have a little bit of a tonal difference in sound. So it's just a matter of what you like for the particular track, right?
Yeah. Just setting this up. I want to have that to 0.
You know, while you're setting it up, Andy's saying you're still having problems with your VMR opening, huh? You said it's working better in Sierra. Andy's on a Mac. Yeah, I'm on Sierras too, Andy, and I haven't had a problem since day one. But I know you've had some issues. And I thought you worked them all out. I'm sorry to hear you're still having a problem. If we need to hook up tomorrow or something offline, we can try to do that together if you can use my help. But it may sound like you may need a Slate Digital support email, because I'm surprised you're still having issues.
That's a shame. I'm sorry to hear that.
But we'll get you straight.
Should we try this bass out and see what this is like?
Sure, let's listen.
I've dialed it in without listening, so this could be interesting. It could be horrendous.
what do you have on that? The Monster or the 1176?
That's the Monster. I just wanted to see what this was going to be like.
Yep.
I've used the same drum group Smasher preset just to kind of see what it was going to be like. This is pure experimentation, to be honest. But I like that. Although one of the drawbacks is it has brought out the reverb of the faked fretless bass over here.
Right.
And which was built into the instrument. So so it's drowning a little bit in reverb. But
you can use the mix control to kind of control that a little bit.
Yeah, I could pull this back a little bit.
You can pull that back. Yeah, that might help it.
Yeah. Let's see. Or I could just go and. Certainly gives, I mean, it's a fretless bass, but it certainly gives it some extra punch and some spice to it. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, that's what parallel compression will do for you. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I love parallel compression on drums. I don't tend to do it on much else. I know you kind of do it
on everything. Maybe I'll show that in next month's live stream. I was going to do that today, but it's a little bit more involved. But yeah, if you watch any of my Made Easy products, I do it a lot. And that will, if you don't do parallel compression on all your instruments, not that it's not the thing I do every single time on every single instrument. It's more times than not, in a very sparing way. It really makes your entire mix it just kind of brings it up to that next level. It's something you ought to try. Everybody thinks of it on drums, but they don't.
Yes.
But they don't really notice it. I do it on everything: vocals, keys, guitars, everything.
Yeah. I mean, I like the idea of that, and from watching you do it, I like the idea of it. And I've seen Andrew Shep's.
He does it as well.
Does it as well, and I really like the idea of it. I'm not so sure of how it would apply to kind of more the kind of music that I work in, kind of acoustic music and jazz. I'm not necessarily sure that it would have much application for me, but there again, maybe in some respects, I don't know.
Yeah, experimentation.
Yeah.
I don't typically work on jazz, so most of the stuff I do, pop, rock, metal, it works fabulous.
I bet.
Maybe we'll do that. I'll do that. Maybe that'll be the demonstration I'll do for the next live stream. I'll do a full-on parallel compression mix just so you guys see how I do that.
I think that would be a belter of an idea, because that would certainly have me learning a great deal. So
yeah, I might even be able to do something on I might even be able to do it tonight, because I already have a session already done. I could probably open one up. Maybe we'll see if we have time. If people really care about that, the 24 people that are here.
Alrighty, well that's
they might not. They might not care about that.
Well, that's me done. I mean, the 1176 and the Monster. The Monster, I have decided is completely epic. So
yeah, it's a great plugin. Well, that's great. Well, I'm glad you got the bundle, and I'm sure you'll have a lot more to show everybody once you kind of dive deep into it, right?
Oh yes, for sure. I mean, I was running all of that through the virtual bus, and the tape machine as well.
Yep.
And it just sounds gorgeous.
Yeah. Cool. All right, man. That's awesome. Yeah. If anyone have any questions for Johnny, and go ahead and Johnny unshare your screen, and then I'll bring up a Studio One session, and I'll put on the let's see, where the heck is my Studio One thing? So first thing I got to do, because Johnny's going to be up in here, is I need to escape. I need to minimize Johnny, and then now you guys should be able to see. Oh, I should probably open up my session. That would be helpful.
Yeah, there's a few people here that are saying they're interested in the parallel compression, so that's cool.
Okay. We'll do it. Let's see. What session was it? It was this one. Let's see if it'll open. This is a large session with a lot of stuff on it.
See, actually, that's a point of question for you, because I'm only running an i5 machine with 8 gigs of RAM, and I'm pretty sure that the Slate probably adds a bit of extra it's a bigger family to feed in terms of RAM and stuff.
Not too bad, the Slate stuff. Not as much as you would think. Oh, let me see. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me just get rid of this message here. Let me pop Johnny. I'll bring Johnny back on the screen here. I'm on the screen there. Let me just.
MGN Studios has just made it, he says.
Hey, how are you, MGM Studios? Good to see you.
Good to see you, Mike.
Let me throw Johnny over here as well, just because why? I'm going to put Johnny at the top of the screen. I'm going to move myself out of the way here so they can see the parallel track. Or I might be able to do this. Hold on. Okay, so parallel compression. I wasn't planning to do this, but we'll do it because I've already done it. All right, so this is a full mix. And by the way, seeing as I'm going to do this for you, this is the song you guys are going to mix in October in learningtomix.com. That is if you are a member. If you are not a member, you will not have access to this song and won't be able to mix it. But this came from one of our members out in Russia, no less.
Oh, nice.
Vladimir, I'm going to butcher his name. He's going to kill me. Vladimir Safonkin is his name. The name of the song is The Secret of Love. This is, and let me turn down the master fader because I don't know. I might have even mastered this. I might have put a limiter on it. I did. So let me take off the limiting here. Okay. So anyway, this is a full-on song here. I'll let you listen to part of it. We got a full-on drum kit with drum samples, all in brown. We have drum effects. We have percussion tracks. We have a bass, acoustic guitar. We have several electric guitars. We have some keys and some synths and some strings. We have some vocals in yellow, and we have a bunch of background vocals in this kind of orangish color. We got reverbs, delays. We got everything, okay? And then I have our busing system, as I always do. Drum bus, bass bus, acoustic guitar, electric guitar, keyboards, lead vocal, background vocals. And then for that group of buses, all in purple, are my parallel tracks, okay? So I have a P drums for parallel drums, P bass, parallel bass, acoustic, electric, keys, vocals, background vocals. So let me let you listen to a part of this. Let's see if you can even hear it. Hopefully the routing is right, and let me know how the volume is, and hopefully it's not too crazy. And let me see if I can get my, I'm also going to get my little picture-in-picture out of the way here so you can see the purple tracks better. Have no fear, I will do that for you. All right.
Yourself over to the left, Dave, you'll be fine there.
I did. I just moved myself underneath you, so I'm out of the way of the purple tracks. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to mute the parallel tracks so you can hear everything without parallel compression. Okay, here we go. Hopefully you can hear this. We'll see. I don't know.
Sunny day, you're smiling in my bed. With your golden hair, you look like we're a fairy. And I know that's all I've ever said, but never be enough to tell them who you are. I took pictures of you, tried to gauge the fragile beauty, but it's a waste of time, still away. And there remains one thing for me to say. I'm so happy to have you by my side, and every moment of life you make it fun and bright.
Okay, so there's our song without parallel compression. Let me just save everything.
That's a great song.
Great song, a lot of fun. If you're a member of learningtomix.com, you too can mix this song starting tomorrow. And Mike says he just joined today. Mike, really cool. Thanks so much, and you're welcome for the discount, by the way. Everyone got a discount, okay? So go over to Learning to Mix. I know I sound like an infomercial. This is the kind of stuff you're going to see. These are the kind of songs you're going to get. You're not going to get, some multi-tracks that you can find anywhere on the internet. These you can't find anywhere. These are multi-tracks out of my private collection, out of Pete's private collection, and for the members, from the members of Learning to Mix, which is what this is. And you can see we got a full-on set of mix here. We're using all kinds of plugins here. So, and I walk you through every single one. This is an SSL mix. Okay? All right,
Nice.
Parallel tracks. Okay, so this is the concept. So, let's just solo up the drums here. So here's our drums. With no parallel compression. And how about that? I'm using an 1176 on drums, like Johnny was. I use this a lot on drums. Okay.
It's a fantastic thing on
It
drums.
is. Now, this is the universal audio version, but they're all similar, right? Okay, so the way I set this up is on, it's hard to see on the screen here, but this is all buttons mode where all the buttons are pressed in. You can see if I 4 to 1, 8 to 1, 12 to 1. If you hold the shift key and hit 20 to 1, or no, excuse me, 4 to 1, it all goes in. That's the all buttons mode. Okay, I'm using a very fast attack, or excuse me, slow attack and a fast release. You can see the attack and releases. And I'm squashing it like 10, 15 dB, right? Okay, all the drums are sent there pre-fader. Okay, you can see on the sends just like normal. Now, listen to what happens when I bring in the parallel track. Now, again, this is, it's subtle, but when I do all the tracks and then bring it in cumulatively, you're going to hear what this does in the entire mix. We're going to walk through it one at a time if you guys really care. Okay, so here we go. It's before. After. Okay, so the snare really cuts through more, the kick cuts through more, you hear more of the room, it gets more full, a little bit more lively, right? Okay, and so that's that. So now on bass, let's bring in the bass. Here's without parallel compression. With parallel. So this one I'm using the DBX 160 by Waves, which I like. Sometimes I'll use an LA2A, but I used an LA2A on the original track, so I just tried to change up the flavor a little bit. Not to mention, you know, again, as part of the learning to mix and part of the teaching process, I try to use a lot of different plugins to show you different things. So here's a DBX 160. Again, you can see how much we're slamming it. About 15 dB. Before. After. So what you should hear there, and again, I don't know how it comes across on YouTube, Johnny, but what you should hear there is I'm listening to the very low, the very bottom end of the bass, the very lowest frequencies. It just gives it some more girth, okay?
Yeah.
And it plays nice with the kick drum, okay? So that's a DBX 160. Now over to an acoustic guitar. Let's see if we have an acoustic guitar playing somewhere in here. I think it's in the verses, maybe. Let me see. Let's find the acoustic guitars. Here we go. Sorry, guys, I wasn't prepared to do this, so let me just fix this, okay? So you just hear the acoustic guitar cut through a little bit more on the higher frequencies, and I'm using the Waves Pi compressor just because, no real reason other than, again, it was another tool that I like to, I like to show as many tools as I can when we do these monthly mixes, just to give you something else to look at. This is a really cool. This is a very LA 2A-ish opto style kind of compressor sounding to me. And again, as you can hear, hopefully, it's just subtle. Listen to the top end of that acoustic guitar when I take it away. So that kind of folds in, you kind of lose it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really get louder. I mean, it gets a little bit louder, I guess you could say, but it's really more of the frequencies because we're compressing, we're bringing up the level of those higher frequencies so you can hear the strumming a little bit better. Okay, and again, I'm hitting it pretty hard here, about 7 dB of compression or so. Now on the electric guitars, let's see if we have electric guitars somewhere around here. We should. In the verses, I know we do, and it kind of sticks out in the verse a little bit more. Okay, so here, this is an LA3A by Waves. I love these on electric guitars. LA3As I love, and I like this over the Universal Audio one. That's why I use this one. And again, this kind of palm muting thing, I'm listening for the higher frequencies. Now, electric guitars, I'm not compressing as much here because electric guitars, distorted electric guitars in particular, are usually compressed already. They already got a good amount of compression on them, even in its rawest form, coming out of the amp. On the SSL channel strip, I'm compressing it a little. I also have an LA3A on the original, the track itself, compressing a little. So when I got to the parallel track, I didn't want to squash it too much. But again, just like with the acoustic guitar, it's kind of bringing up those upper frequencies to get them to cut through the mix a little bit better. So that's what that's kind of doing there, okay? Now on the keys, where are their keys here? There's some keys right in here. There's keys towards the end where they're kind of all playing at the same time. That's probably a better example. And then we're going to do this, turn them all on, turn them all off. And that's really where you're going to hear the overall effect of what it does to the mix. Okay, so here's our keys. Okay, so here I'm using another version of the 1176, the anniversary edition. The thing that makes this one a little unique from the other ones is it has a super slow attack, much slower than the other ones do. I'm only using a 4:1 ratio. And again, listen for the upper frequencies of those keys and those synths. They kind of cut through a little bit more with this. So I'll start with it. I'll start with it on. You'll hear it, and then I'll take it away. Okay, so that's the keys. And the other thing is this also has a 2:1 ratio on it, which all the other 1176 have a 4:1 ratio. So this even has a slower attack than the original Blackface with a 2:1 ratio. That's what makes this one a little bit more unique than the others. And then if we go over to our vocals, let me bring a verse in because that's where you'll typically hear it a little bit better. I hope this is interesting for everybody. If it's not, I'm sorry. But this is a nice, this is a good, I feel a good tip. This is something that I urge everyone to try on your mixes. So let's see. Okay, so we'll start. I may as well bring up the compressor. We're using the 1176 Blue Stripe this time around. Why do you use the Blue Stripe over the Blackface or the other one that I just showed you? Because the Blue Stripe, at least in the Universal Audio emulations, tends to be a little bit brighter sounding, not as warm sounding. This is a male vocal. I want it to be a little bit more warm, okay? Or excuse me, a little less warm, a little more airy. So this has a little more air to it. So I'll start with it on and then I'll take it away and you'll see what happens to the lead vocal.
Never be enough to tell them who
So I don't know if you guys can hear that, but what happens is when you take away the parallel compression, again, the vocal gets a little quieter, yes, but it also feels like it kind of moves a little bit further away from the listener. And with the parallel compression in, it not only gets a tad bit louder, but it pulls the vocal closer to you. And it gets a little more airy because this compressor has that tonality characteristic to it. And on a song like this, pop rock, maybe call it, that vocal should be right in front of your face. With this style of music, right? We don't want this vocal to sit back in the mix like a hard rock track. It's more of a pop track. The vocal should sit up front. And so that's what I got going on here. And then for background vocals, same concept, but I'm just using a different compressor. I'm using the LA2A just because it has a little bit of a different color to it. So now what we can do is I have all the parallel tracks in now, okay? And what we'll do is we'll play back this section and I'll just toggle them all on and off all at the same time. So you can hear the accumulative effect of what it does. Now, yes, it gets a hair bit louder, but don't, try not to concentrate on the volume as much as the tone and the thickness. It gets a little bit more thick and it gets a little bit more punchy, a little bit more, snappy. The song tends to bounce a little more, okay, from all that heavy compression. And again, if you notice where they are, as opposed to the faders on the buses, you can see that they're kind of sitting underneath, right? They're not dominating the mix. They're just being tucked underneath. Okay? So let's go ahead and let's do that, and then I'll mute them. Here we go.
Sunny day, you're smiling in my bed. With your golden hair, you look like we're a fairy. And I know that's all I've ever said would never be enough to tell them who you are. Sunny day, you're smiling in my bed. With your golden hair, you look like we're a fairy. And I know that's all I've ever said would never be enough to tell them who you are.
So it's a pretty radical difference. And again, it gets slightly louder, but what you're really hearing more than anything, if you didn't pick up on, is you're hearing, it sounds like there's an EQ there. It almost sounds like I've EQ'd the mix. There's no EQ in any of these. It's only just compressors. So again, when we've talked about this a million times, but for people that maybe have not seen it before, I don't think of these. Someone asked, I think Robert might have asked, why am I using different compressors? That's a very good question, Robert, for what I'm about to tell you right now. Because all these compressors have a different tone to them. And I'm thinking about this not just in compression, but I'm also thinking about EQ. So when I take away these compressors, the parallel tracks, and then bring them back in, you can hear that the mix instantly gets a little more bright, right? It gets a little bit brighter, a little bit more present. And it has a little bit more thump to it as well, because each one of those compressors brings a different kind of an EQ curve to it as well, more than just compression. So some of these compressors I've used, like the Kramer Pi and the DBX 160. I've used like 5 different compressors here because, again, it was part of the Learning to Mix teaching content, and I wanted to show as many compressors as I could, just to give people some different things to look at. Where typically maybe I would not use 5 or 6 different compressors. I might use 3 different compressors, but it's all subjective. So again, listen to the clarity and listen to the presence of the track, okay? Not the volume.
Sunny day, you're smiling in my bed. With your golden hair, you look like we're a fairy. And I know that's all I've ever said would never be enough to tell them who you are.
So it almost seems like you took a blanket, like if you had a little piece of fabric over the top of the speaker and you just kind of pulled it away. And that's kind of how I kind of think about it. And so, yeah, so that's parallel compression on an entire mix. And I do this a lot because I just think it gives the mix that little extra something. Without it, it seems like the mix is a little flat, a little flat sounding to me. And so that's parallel compression on a mix. And so these are the kinds of things that we're teaching and learning at learningtomix.com every single month, and I go into a lot more detail. This mix here, I think is 5 hours long is the videos for this month from just me, and I think 4 hours from Pete. So it's 9 hours worth of training on how we mix this song. In October, starting tomorrow, you guys will get this song.
Awesome. Looking forward to getting into that.
So that's cool. Does anyone have any questions? We have 27 people, which is cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Anyone have any questions on any of that stuff? Now that we've done that, we could do, let's do a little bit of Q&A, see what people are up to. While we're doing that, Johnny, someone wanted to see the FG Stress. I can show on another, I had the FG Stress opened on another.
Do you want me to get it open so that people can see it?
Yeah, I have it as well. Let me see. I actually set that up. I was going to do that tonight before someone said let's do parallel compression, but I can do it.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's see. So I put it on drums as well. The FG Stress is interesting. I'm still getting used to it. It's very 1176-ish in a way. Let me just mute the bass here and mute the vocal because I did it on 3 tracks. We should probably look for some drum sections, right? That would be helpful. Let's see what we got here. Oh, we should have some drums coming up right around here.
I like the way they named it, actually.
FG Stress?
Yes. Nice play on words.
Let me get over to where the snares are actually hitting.
Nice play on words of the original name for the original compressor.
Okay, so the FG Stress. So now this mix has no other plugins anywhere except for on the bus, where I have the virtual mix, but which I guess I can take this off. It really doesn't matter. I usually like to demo these kinds of things where it's the only plugin because then it's a little bit more audible. So the FG Stress is very 1176-ish in its design, but it has some different controls. So I can walk through them quickly if people want to see it. You have an input here up at the top. You have an attack. The attack on this has a fixed threshold, so the more input you push into this will push more signal over the threshold, like an 1176. The attack time runs from about 50 microseconds to about 30 milliseconds on the fast side. Okay. The release runs from 50 milliseconds to about 3 seconds, 3.5 seconds on the slow side. And then you have an output knob down here. One of the tricks if you hold down the shift key while you turn the input, you can see the output also changes as well to kind of level match the plugin. Kind of a cool little shortcut if you chose to do that. A bunch of presets as usual with Slate, and most of the presets are pretty usable. Underneath the white knobs here, you have your ratio button. You can switch anything from a 1-to-1, which is no compression at all, 2, 3, 4, 6, 10, 20, and then this thing called Nuke, which is kind of what it implies. It's beyond 20-to-1. It's smashed the daylights out of it as much as you possibly can, because that's what we like to do. And then down here you have some detector switches, some side chain switches. So on the detector side, the side chain, you have a high pass filter here, which is preset at 86 hertz, just so you know that. You have this little funny little Q thingy, EQ thingy, mid-range thingy. What this will do is this is a fix at about 6K. So what this will do, this will help compress some of those on lead vocal sibilant stuff and give you a little bit of tonality difference there. Haven't played much with that, but that's what it is. And then you can link stereo on and off. On the audio side, you have a high pass filter here, which is set at 80 hertz as opposed to 86. And then underneath that, you have these things called Distortion 2 and Distortion 3. These are second order and third order harmonic distortion, which basically that just means it adds a little bit of subtle color to it. That's all it really does. The Distortion 2 or the second order harmonic distortion, it's going to be more tube-like distortion. And then the Distortion 3 is going to be a little bit more like tape. Again, it's subtle. And then over here you have, like on all the plugins, which was not part of the hardware, you have this mix knob. So you can use it as, parallel compression if you chose to, all on one track.
Now, the attack and release knobs on there, they are numbered 1 to 10. Is that slow to fast?
Yeah, so...
Slow to fast. So slow getting faster as you turn it across.
Yep, let me show you that. So as we turn down to 0, you're going to have a faster attack.
Yep.
And then as you go up to 10, it's going to be a slower attack.
Gotcha.
Okay?
All right, so it's fast getting slower.
Fast getting slower, yep. Just like the 1176. It's you look at it's kind of backwards to what your mind thinks. Everyone gets confused. And sometimes I get confused. I got to look at the meters to remember which way I'm going. So here's a preset called Drum Nuke, which is going to be, Drum Bus Nuke, which is going to be the smasher. I mean, it smashes it.
Just slightly.
Now we could cycle through the ratio. Like a typical drum bus that's not parallel, I would do like a 2-to-1, 3-to-1.
Yep, same here.
And we're doing a lot of compression here. So you're going to hear more crack in the snare. You're going to hear more of the room. So you play with the attack time, the release time, and the input. So you're controlling the level going over the threshold to kind of achieve your gain reduction. That's a very slow release. So you can see how much compression we're getting here. So it's got that kind of 1176 vibey thing happening, which is kind of cool. It's got its own little unique tone to it. And again, we can turn on some high pass filters here, which just means anything below 80 hertz is not going to affect the way the compressor responds. So that's drums. On a bass, if you wanted to hear it on a bass, we can listen to it on a bass.
I'm liking this already. I like that third distortion setting, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
So I just use a bass, what they call a bass guitar tubey opto, which means it's kind of set up in a way to kind of mimic like an LA2A. You know, because LA2As are very known to be used on bass guitar. Why? Because they just sound great.
Yeah.
I think about 6 dB of compression here, 4-to-1 ratio. And we got the third harmonic distortion here, third order harmonic distortion. I take it away. Push it some more. get some nice color.
I really like that. Actually, even compressing just that little bit heavier, it just sounds just as good.
Yeah, it sounds great. It really does. It's not bad, you know. And again, you know, now you have a, I mean, which compressor do you use? I mean, what's nice about having the everything bundle is, you know, you get it. It's all, every time they put out a new plugin, you get it as part of your membership. So now you just have another thing you can play around with and test out. You know, I haven't played with it very much, but that's on, you know, bass and on drums. I even think I did it on a lead vocal here. Let me see. Let's see. Did I? I thought I did. I think I was playing with it. And no, maybe I wasn't. No, I wasn't. It was just bass and drums. So yeah, so that's kind of the FG Stress. You know, that's kind of the layout of it. It's a cool plugin. If you have the Slate Everything bundle, you'll get it for free. If not, I think it's $250 or $200 or something like that. So I don't know if you have any questions, Johnny. We still have about 30 people or so here, which is great. It's more than normal. That's awesome, man. Thanks, guys, for checking it out.
I have a question, actually.
Sure, shoot.
If nobody minds me jumping the queue, just for a second. I'm curious as to why there's no LA2A in the Slate bundle.
There is. It's the well, their version of it is the FG Red. It's this one here.
Aye.
This is their Opto style VCA compressor. You know, this is kind of like their LA2 with some other special things in there, but that's kind of their thing.
Right.
Do we have any other questions? Any questions at all, folks? I could bring Johnny back on the screen here. We can kind of, let's see. Let's go back to our...
Raina says, why should I use a parallel bus if I can use a dry wet knob?
You don't need to. That's the point. Good question. Very observant. You don't need to. You can use the dry wet knob. Before the Slate plugins, when you were just using like what you saw me do with the Universal Audio ones, they don't have dry wet knobs. So you have to have a separate parallel track. But you're absolutely right. If you have a dry wet knob, you could just use one track and you can just dial in as much of that parallel, as much of that compression as you want. So the other thing I like about having two tracks is more so than just that, is that you also have, you know, because on the drum bus itself, I didn't do this mix yet, but you know, not only do I on my drum bus will I have the bus compressor, but I'll also have a VCC on there. I'll have a tape machine on there, so it gives you a little bit more control if you separate them. But you don't need to. You absolutely don't need to. So that was a good question. That was a very good question.
Some questions here about pre versus post fader sends with regard to parallel compression.
Okay. Why would you use one over the other?
Yes.
Okay, sure. Like with any send, you want to use pre-fader. And all that pre-fader really means, this is not the one with parallel compression, but let's do that. So let's say we take this bass here, and let's say we send it over to our P bass track, okay? In Studio One, most of you know that it lights up, defaults to blue. If you click this little doohickey over here, it turns amber. That's pre-fader. Now you say, why would you do it pre-fader versus post-fader? Because pre-fader means that regardless of where you set this slider, the send level, to your parallel track, if you were to adjust this fader here, it does not affect the send level because it's pre-fader, meaning it's before this control is before this control, just like it kind of lines up in the channel strip. You know, in order, the signal runs through the top of the insert. Right now it's running right through the FG Stress. Then it runs through all your plugins and it goes to your sends. And it goes to this pre-fader. And then it kind of branches off, right? And goes over to your parallel track. If this was post-fader, and let's say you set this send level to +3 dB, for example, and then you set up your parallel track and you get the compressor kind of banging the way you want it. And then let's say, you know, you get towards the end of the mix and you go, oops, I need to turn down the bass, it's too loud, and you do this. Well, now you just affected the level that's going to your parallel track. So whenever you send to parallel tracks, and or if you're sending it to a reverb or delay, typically I would send them pre-fader, just so you're kind of separate this fader on the channel from this fader on the send level. So that's the logic behind it.
That's cool. That's a great answer as well.
Any other questions? That was a good question.
Greg asks, in what order or how do you set up the parallel chain from Ascend? That's a great answer as well.
How do you set up a parallel chain from the sends? I'm not sure I understand.
Either.
I'm not sure I understand the question. Who asked that? Greg, if you could be a little bit more specific. We could try to help, certainly. Would be SAS. What companies make the DBX 160 waves and Universal Audio? There might be other ones, but those are the two that I know of. And I own them both, and I like the Waves one better myself.
Ah, interesting.
Let's see. Any other questions? Any other things? Or should I close this and bring Johnny back on the screen?
I believe Andy was talking about he has an actual hardware DBX 160. He wants to know how he can route it through the Series 3.
You should be able to do it as an insert, shouldn't you?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But he's saying here that there aren't any inserts, or at least I don't know. He says there are no inserts on the Series 3 mixers.
Oh, I know there's a way to do it. I don't patch hardware into the Series 3 mixer that way, but I absolutely know you can do it, Andy. I'll bet you it's in the user manual. I'm trying to think without. I can't easily get to the back of the board to look at it, but I know you can. I'm just not. Probably with the flex mixes and something, there's got to be those flex mix outputs and inputs. There's got to be a way to do it. As a matter of fact, I think PreSonus, I could swear they did a video on it, and it's on their YouTube channel. But I don't. I remember seeing it somewhere. So,
yeah, I think. Yeah, there is a video. I think that either Ray or Rick Nackby did. I can't remember whom.
Yeah.
Exactly, but I think they went through kind of all the, how you set up auxes and flex mixes.
Yeah, it's something to do with the aux and the flex mix. There is a way to do it because those aux flex mixes, the way I understand it, again, I don't use the mixer this way, but those outputs, inputs, you can route them anywhere. You should be able to, and I think that's why they call it flex mixing. I think you can route these things anywhere you want in the board. So once you pick your insert point, you can route it to a specific channel, Andy. So if you wanted to put it on your bass guitar, channel 6, you can route those sets of points to channel 6 only, which is cool. I just have not physically done it, but I know you can do it. Absolutely no. So don't worry about that. I know you got the new mixer coming. So yes. Would it be worth setting up? He's asking. As opposed to what? I guess it would depend. I guess it would depend on what you were going to do it on. Remember now, with the Series 3 mixer, Andy, you're also going to have the PreSonus version of the LA2A, the 1176 in there too. So you can use those as a way to kind of compress on the way in if that's what you're looking to do. You throw that LA2 on there if you're talking about bass. And, that'll do the trick. Save you kind of the hassle of using the hardware. Any other questions from anybody? Anything at all? For me? For Johnny?
Yeah, and any questions for me as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I urge you to try the parallel trick. Try it on a whole mix like that. Once you do it, you won't go back.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking that this approach would be probably useful for the kind of stuff that I do personally, my records, because they are kind of a little bit more of a fusion, I guess, between kind of jazz and elements of rock, elements of pop. So that kind of the Andrew Shepp's parallel compression approach to the whole mix is probably something that would work. I'd have to try it on a song.
Yeah, and again, depending, you can dial in as much or as little as you want. So you could do it in a very, very subtle way. I try to do it in a pretty subtle way. I don't try to, but you could, really push the fader up if you really wanted to slam it pretty good. It depends on what you're going for,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of cool. Anything else, guys, before we if there are no other questions, because again, we want to try to keep these things, we've only been doing this, about an hour. and a half, which is perfect. A little over an hour, a little less than an hour and a half. To
Yep.
try to keep these things kind of flowing. We don't want people to be bored here.
Bobby Booth says, I got a CA2A from Cakewalk. Is that the same as the LA2A? And I would suggest I think so.
Yeah, probably. I don't know it, but just based on it's called the CA2A, probably means yes. Yeah, probably.
Truckee asks, any update on DAW mode for the series 3s? Now, what I've actually read Ray Tansen, who is overseeing the whole development of the Series 3 mixers. He's saying before Christmas, so I would suggest that it's probably going to be the start of December that they'll be starting to make lots of noise about it.
Yeah, and as I said earlier, when I updated the new firmware on the board, the little DAW button now lights up the color green, which it never lit up before. You could push it; it doesn't do anything, but it lights up. So I think we're one step closer. I hear it's coming soon.
It's just the rest of it that's got to come in. I think I would imagine, I'm not speaking from knowledge, but I would imagine that probably the big issue is the integration with Studio One. That side of it rather than the actual console side of it.
Yeah, my guess is it's probably in. It's not in beta yet, but it's probably there. I'm sure that it's working, and people in PreSonus are probably working with and testing it and trying to get the bugs worked out of it. And I know they said they want to make sure that it's solid when it comes out, and that's great, because the last thing we want to do is have it come out and to have a whole bunch of upset people because things aren't working correctly. We're always going to have something that's not going to work right. You can't catch everything, but we want it to be super solid, right? And so it's worth the wait. We've waited this long. Another couple of months is not going to matter, and it's going to be a game changer. I know for me it's going to be a game changer, because that's the only reason why I bought this thing, was for that reason. Because, I mean, the recording pre's and all that are awesome, but that's not my main function for the board. So, I think it's a game changer in that it's going to be, cool one-to-one in Studio One. And from what I'm told, in the beginning of the new year, sometime, it'll also be a surface control for other DAWs as well, right? Cubase and probably Pro Tools and all, Logic maybe. And so it's not just going to be for Studio One, I guess, is the longer-term plan, which is awesome, which is great. So you don't have to be a Studio One user necessarily to still get some really good benefit out of this board,
Andy is asking, are you going to do some videos on the Series 3?
On the mixer?
Yes.
Yes, once the DAW. Yeah, I did a couple early on, Andy, but I didn't do many because because right now the board is only good for really recording, and again, that's not what I do. I mean, so I don't really get into it from a recording end of it. It's going to be more the mixing, and yes, absolutely. All of my videos, all my mixing videos, and all my tutorials moving forward, once this thing is a DAW control, will all be with two cameras. One will be on the board at all times, and one will be obviously on the screenshot, so you can see both of what's going on. Because I'm real interested to use the plugins, the Fat Channel plugins, although you can use those in Studio One already, as Johnny demonstrated tonight. But I'd like to use them right on the board, get a little bit more into the touch screen. And so, yeah, I'm going to do all my videos that have anything to do with mixing will have a permanent second camera set up on this board. So you guys can see what's going on the board as well as on the screen. So, yes, I'm just waiting for the DAW control to get rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's going to be it's going to be massively impactful on the industry, because there are some other mixers that kind of do this kind of thing. They've got the flying faders, they've got EQ and compression on board. I think Behringer make a couple. There's the Allen and Heath one, pretty awesome as well. But I think the game changer here, in terms of industry wide, is the DAW control. That when that comes for the Series 3, it's just like it'll be a pretty unique console to have in your studio.
Yeah, especially again if you use Studio One, because the way it's going to integrate is going to be pretty powerful. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a game changer.
Yes,
I think so. The Allen and Heath is the only board. I don't consider the Behringer at the level of this, although I know a lot of the features are the same. But I also know that it's a little bit more cumbersome to use because I have a few private students that use that board, and we've worked through some issues. And I'll tell you, it's
Yeah.
not the most user friendly, especially for routing. It's a little bit flaky, but the Allen and Heath I hear is a really good board as well. And they're right around the same price as the Studio Live, and they will work with DAW. But
Yep.
I've never put my hands on it, so I don't know much about that board. Other than I just know Allen and Heath historically has always made very good equipment. So,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, their mixes are generally speaking legendary. We have an Allen Heath at church that we use. It's the digital one, and it's amazing what it can do. But I think we are going to be getting this the 32 channels Series 3 mixer next year. So
oh, cool, yeah, that's really cool. Let's see. The Reaper's asking any recommendation on line conditioners. He has new pair of monitors, and he gets a nasty pop from his little mini refrigerator. Oh wow. Oh, so you got some dirty power happening in there. So I don't know what you use, Johnny. I use I have what the hell's the name of it? I have a couple of Furman power conditioners, and the ones I don't know the model numbers, but you can search on Sweetwater. The one I have is the only one that they make that has like a 4-step delay. So when you turn on your studio, it'll turn on one piece. It'll turn on, for example, my board first, then it turns on my monitors, and it turns on the other thing, so you don't get a pop. Excuse me. It turns it on. It has like a, I don't know, 3 or 4 second delay between each set of and then when you shut down, same thing. It shuts down things sequentially, which I like. So those, and then I have I think I have a Monster, the Monster conditioners as well, that I use for my computers and my hard drives and such. And I don't have any issues with static or noise or anything. I don't know about you, Johnny. What are you running in your studio?
Absolutely nothing. I don't have any power conditioning in here at all. Mostly because I think the way we have electricity running in the UK is considerably different to you guys. You guys have a much lower voltage to start with.
Yeah.
Yours is 115 volts, I believe.
Yep.
Is it still DC that you guys run mostly, or
Yep.
yeah, DC? Yeah. So we run 240 AC.
Right.
Here. So things like kind of the things that you're talking about, like dirty power and that kind of stuff, we don't really tend to get.
Oh, okay.
Here.
That's good to know.
It just doesn't really happen unless you happen to be a very, very, very long way from the grid. Like if you live, I don't know, out in the Hebridean Islands, which are kind of off the northeast coast of Scotland.
Right.
Over there, then yes, you probably would benefit from something like that because you are a considerable way off the grid. So
right. Yeah, no, so I would recommend checking out, like I said, anything by Furman or Monster. They all make really good units.
I've been corrected. You guys run AC, 120 AC.
Yes. Oh, what
Gotcha,
what did I say? Did I say DC?
DC.
Oh,
yeah,
no, AC.
Yeah.
So there we go. Yeah, so that's what I would do, Reaper. Let's see. What's it? Vrek46 says, "Hey guys, any words on the Cush plugins? Is it worth getting?" I have one Cush plugin called the it's their mastering kind of EQ thing. Oh Lord, I can't remember the name of it. And it was good. They have like a handful of plugins and they're pretty good.
Didn't you do a demo on that?
I did. I don't remember. It's on my YouTube channel about a year or so ago. I just don't remember the name of it offhand. But it's like a mastering EQ. It's very similar to the Bax EQ by Dangerous Music. And it's nice. It's nice. It's a nice plugin, and they're relatively inexpensive. Their plugins, but I don't have a ton of experience with all their stuff. Let's see. That's it, right? Any other questions, guys? We still have about 26 people here, which is great. We've been on here about an hour and a half, which is about exactly what we said we wanted to do. About a 90-minute show. once a month again to try to just combine everything together, where we'll do a mixing demonstration, a plug-in demo maybe, and then doing this Q&A thing, which is always cool. And just do this every month, usually probably the last Saturday of every month. We'll see how the schedules kind of work themselves out, but that's kind of where we're at, as opposed to doing this every single week. So hopefully you found this helpful, guys, and you learned something. And once again, check us out on our own YouTube channels and check out everything that's going on. And if you have any questions, you can always send us questions via email, and
Absolutely.
Right, we'll be happy to get back to everybody. Let's see. Anything else? One more chance, guys. Have any questions at all? Now's the time to ask. I know there's a slight delay. So,
Missy says, any thoughts on sound toys?
yeah, I use Sound Toys Echo Boy plugin. Love it.
Oh, it's a beautiful delay, isn't it?
Yeah, it's probably the only delay you really need. I mean, I have a couple of delays, but I mean, if you're looking for a good delay and you only want to use one delay, that's the one to get, because it's got a massive amount of great presets. It does everything from digital to analog. It's got all kinds of controls. It's a really nice plugin. So yeah, I would say it's a really, really good. Echo Boy is really good.
The Slate bundle has a delay called the repeater.
Very good as well. Yes.
Are they comparable, do you think?
Yeah, well, I think the Sound Toys has more in way of presets.
Right.
But yeah, sound quality wise, I think Repeater is great too. I've used Repeater quite a bit. They have some really cool things going on there. So yes, I would say either one of those. Again, if you already have the Slate bundle and it comes with it, you could probably save yourself some money and not have to go buy the Sound Toy, the Echo Boy.
Cool.
It is a really good delay. Usually the delays and the reverbs is where a lot of the stock plugins fall short, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. No, I think I agree there.
So yeah, so I like the Sound Toys Echo Boy, and then like I said, I like Repeater as well. They're really good. Anything else? Anything else?
I think that's probably pretty much the last question of the night.
Yep, going once, going twice.
Sold to the lady.
Sold to the lady up front. Well, thanks again, everybody. Thanks, everybody, once again for joining Johnny and myself. Again, stay tuned to the Facebook page. I'll post when the next one's going to be, probably 4 weeks from now or so. And in the meantime, check out Johnny's YouTube channel. He'll be putting up videos. I'll be putting up some more videos as well.
Yes.
And again, go over to homerecordingmadeeasy.com and also check out learningtomix.com. If you like the song I demoed tonight, that song is tomorrow. You'll be able to download that if you are a member. And we have new pricing, lower pricing. We knocked $10 off, 33% off the cost for everybody.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's been a lot of fun. We've done, 3 mixes so far? No, August. This will be the third one coming up. And it's been a lot of fun. And we're getting more and more into this, and we're trying to make things a better experience and whatnot. And so, yeah, you want to get in now while you can. So until next month, I will see you guys later.
Cheers, folks.